back in business, and their concerts are this Friday night and next Sunday afternoon at the ballroom. So I'd like anybody who would like to hear some good patriotic and other music to attend that at the ballroom.
Excellent. It's good to see some of our organizations coming back alive after the 2-year hiatus that we've had. Okay, public comments. Do any of the members of our audience have public comments? I want to remind our audience to please sign in so that we have a record of your attendance in the book, either as you leave or when you come in. Public comments? No. All right, reports. Carroll County Sheriff's Report. We received this also via email sometime in the last week or so. Had an opportunity to look over the March report. I see that Corporal Engel is not here. I can never remember his title. That's my problem.
I spoke to him yesterday to confirm that he would be here today, so he may have gotten a call or something, because he said he would be here to give this report. Something must have come up.
Yeah. Well, in his job, there could be things that take precedence. Did anyone have any questions about the report?
Madam Chair, I have a question. It's about the city. Is the other officer been appointed or employed, or what is the situation on that, Danny? If you could update us.
Yes, sir. Mayor and I met with the sheriff just a few days ago, went over the contract, signed the contract, and the sheriff took the contract to get the proper signatures from the county at the quorum court. And so that's going to be the next step in the process, is approval by the quorum court and those signatures and a signature from the county judge, because it will require them hiring another deputy to staff this position.
Does the city or HICID have any input in terms of that both deputies are not on duty at the same time? Are we going to try to spread out the hours a little bit to have more coverage in Holiday Island?
Well, I'm certain that we can have some input, but I don't think that's going to be an absolute. The sheriff's department is going to have to make the schedule based upon their staffing. We're certainly going to get 80 hours a week out of it.
As a former police chief of long-standing, would you agree that we would need to expand not just from 7 to 3, but there are other hours of our need here?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Just a comment though, Ken. Corporal Engel has told us in the past that he does not work set hours.
Right. Yeah.
One day he'll work at 7 to 3, another day he'll work evenings. He tries to make it random.
Okay.
And I see he just pulled up.
Okay.
So
Good.
he'll be
That's good.
coming in momentarily.
Should
But
we-
they do try to
Yeah.
mix it up.
Okay, thank you.
Well, let's move along and let you talk about the March financials, and then we have questions from Corporal Engel we'll ask after that. That work?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I'll move through this more quickly than I did last time, now that I've kind of explained the process of these charts. And I would like to invite the commissioners to please let me know if there's other aspects of the financials that you would like to see on a monthly basis, or if you would like the information depicted in a different manner. Please let me know and I'll be happy to do that. So you can see expenditures across the board. I don't see any anomalies there. It looks like we're tracking about what I would expect. Same way with revenue. The revenue, we're at 30.7% currently overall, which is a pretty solid number, because we're just now starting to come into our peak seasons of May, June, July, and through the summer, when our revenue is always the highest. So it looks like we're off to a good start there. The next page just big picture on revenue and expenditures, and obviously we'll be able to see how that trends through the years. The following page, once again, revenue and expenditures. We'll be able to tell more as the year goes on. But I like to be able to see how this is trending.
Danny, Madam Chair, could I ask a question here?
Yes.
I don't know which page it would be on, Danny, but it's probably more on the detail that we get that I could print out, which I did. But the amount of money that we will not collect because of lots that are not turnback lots, but just uncollectibles. Is that, in your opinion, and you've been here just less than a year, but it seems that we're getting very few sales of, they're not turnback lots, HISA doesn't own them, but there's a big sale May 2nd coming up, a week or so from now, over at Murdy Mays, in the Ozark, I guess is where it is. But a lot of those lots, if they don't sell and we don't get an assessment from them, what has been our record over the years? I think it's been that we are not collecting, people aren't buying them, they're not paying for them. We've got a lot of lots that are just out there. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And when we build the budget this fall for next year, 2023, I think we're gonna have to look at the little more finite numbers. Do any of the other commissioners?
Would you like for me to speak to that?
Yeah, I would.
Yes, ma'am. If you, I mean, I understand the phenomena that you're
Yeah.
describing.
Okay.
and
Yes, yeah. Ken, I also had that same concern, because once I realized that once we sent out the assessment notices, we dump all of that into, an accounts receivable. It's not like governmental accounting where you wait till you get it in.
Right.
This is when, and I also got concerned about that. So I asked Jennifer to give me the numbers that we needed, and we looked at how many lots are foreclosed each year as a percentage of the assessments, and it's 3% of the assessments that are basically on it, and I'm talking about averages, that's all we could do because it fluctuates.
Okay.
3% that are not received. However, there's an offsetting entry, an allowance that's made for those lots that we're not going to receive. It's carried on the books. So there's already an amount in there to take care of that. And so once I realized that on the balance sheet, I felt a whole lot better about it. I was worried that we were overinflating the amount of income, but we're accounting for that.
Okay. So roughly speaking, if we have a $4.7 million budget, which it's around there roughly, we are predicting that we'll have enough paid assessments, no matter what. They're going to be paid assessments, and plus our other fees, water, sewer, and so forth, golf, to meet that $4.7 million budget.
That's
And
correct.
we won't be $500,000 short because we've got so many uncollectible lot assessments.
We budget for about 97% because as the chairperson mentioned, about half of our revenue comes from ALBs and the other half from other sources. And, well, in fact, if you don't mind, can we look at the next page? You can see that green line. That's our target, and that's what we budgeted, approximately
There you go.
approximately 2.4 million.
Okay.
That's our target, and as she mentioned, that indicates about 97% collections. We understand there's going to be a default on about 3% of those, what we bill.
Okay.
Is this, I have a question, is this phenomenon unique to this year? Hasn't it been going on every year in the past?
For decades,
Yeah.
for decades. There's always been, that, and as she mentioned, it varies.
Yeah.
But about 3%, and we account for that.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
How
how many lots do we project they're gonna actually pay this year?
Well, let's see, what's, 97% out of about 53 to 5,400 lots.
5,400?
It's about how many lots we have, and about 97% of those will pay.
Okay.
So it's not much. But, I think it's wise to be conservative in our revenue projections and understand that we can't count on 100% of that revenue.
In total, how many lots are actually now in Holiday Island?
I believe it's about 5,400.
About 5,400.
I would have to
So
get
how
you an
many,
exact number.
then the delinquencies would come off of that, because we know that all the delinquencies that are out there, the ones that we own or whatever, they're not gonna pay. And so how many actual paying lots do we have? Do you have any idea?
Well, 3% of 5,400 would be,
No, if there's 5,400 in total, and we've got 700 or 1,000 lots that are delinquent, that's 4,400 lots that's gonna pay. If the delinquent lots are not gonna pay. And last year, we had
About 3% of them
785 in our name.
about 3% of them don't pay, and that's about 200 lots.
Okay.
Wouldn't that number not be the total of all lots, but the total of all assessed lots? Because not every lot gets assessed. Is that correct?
Well,
That's what I'm
that is
saying.
correct.
Yeah.
If it's owned, that's a good distinction. If it's owned by HICID, then, it's not billed. That's correct.
Or if it's sitting in the hands of the commissioner of
And the
land.
Commissioner of State Lands, and they have, as you know, significant holdings down there of
Yeah.
HICID lots.
So all of that comes off of the 5,400.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's that's
Yes.
the point I'm trying to,
Right.
that's the number I'm trying to come up with.
You're correct.
Just to clarify, so it's 3% of the lots that are billed for assessment, like I got mine, and I have until October 15th to pay for it, right? So, but 3% of those people like me that have a home on lot, or just a lot, 3% you feel will not pay, but not those 1,000 lots that we don't bill. Am I saying that correctly?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's just looking at historical averages, which is all we did, was, Regina gave me how many foreclosures had gone through over like the last 5 years. And we just figured out what was the rough average. And then how much at $480 a piece on those lots, because they're all lots, none of them are houses. That would have gone through a different process. How much that percentage would be, that's where we came up with, it's about 3%.
So we have about a 3% dropout every year.
I don't know that I could say it that way, but we have about 3% that we don't collect that would eventually be foreclosed.
Same thing. Yeah.
And I think you made another important distinction because you said $480, which indicates those are unimproved lots.
Yes.
Improved lots are almost 100%
Yeah.
in paying. It's generally the unimproved lots where we see the defaults.
Okay, thank you.
So on this next chart, you can see that we began the year with, in the red, I'm looking at the red line,
Which page are you on, Danny?
The one with the green stripe across
the
That one, right up there?
2022 AOB
Okay.
revenue.
March, gotcha.
Yeah, that's up here. Yes, ma'am. So we began the year at $3.9 million that we had billed, and that was outstanding. We currently have $3.4 million that is outstanding, and then you can see down in the yellow, as we're tracking what we've actually collected, that number will come off of the outstanding of what's due. Does this chart clearly depict The AOB, right, okay. All right, I mean, as I mentioned, if you would like to see it in some other form, I'm happy to redo it, because I put this together in what seemed to make sense to me, but there's a lot of different ways you could depict the same information.
Danny, what, on the blue line, 1,281,000, it says AOB past due. Explain that one to me.
Okay, when we began the year, and I don't have the number there, but let's say it's, about $1.4 million. Those are past due from back in, 2020, 2021.
Okay.
And so hopefully we can continue to collect some of that amount and that past due amount. And I think it's anything past 180 days or something like that.
Okay.
In other words, something that was not billed in this current year.
This is sort of a comment toward this problem of lots, and that is, I know your staff here has been really, are busy taking phone calls of, I'm looking at a lot over on Holiday Island Drive, and I don't know what the street number is, and could you look that up for me, and when was it sold, and blah, 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 blah. Would it be helpful for people calling in from Timbuktu, and they want a lot wherever, of those many, many lots that are still maybe available that we could get assessments for? Would it be really helpful, both for your staff and the person calling in, to have a real easy to follow, okay, if it's the state lands department, this is what you do. If it's awaiting foreclosure by a holiday, there's different types of lots that are available. And instead of having your staff constantly answering these questions, which I understand they have been, would it be good to just have a one-page document, Q&As, this is what you do, and then it would eliminate a lot of the time spent for our staff doing something like that. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I will tell you that the vast majority of those callers are going to ask what is owed on that lot. They want to know something about the history of that lot, whether it's county taxes or whether it's AOBs that are due. They want to know if there's baggage, so to speak. And Regina is our go-to person for that, and so she takes most of those calls, and she has that information at her fingertips. I mean, she can tell you in less than a minute what's owed on any particular lot. And she's very organized, and she very easily can give you those answers.
Good. County taxes then are sure, they need to pay that for sure, 100%, right? The county is not going to let anything go unless they get their taxes, right?
Correct, and the county sends them to the Commissioner of State Lands.
Let's say there's 3 years of AOB. Let's say it's $800 a year. Oh, no, it wouldn't be. Let's say it's $800 a year. It's not on a lot, but let's just say it is. $2,400 it's owed to HICID. What does Regina say that they owe on that amount? Back assessment.
It would be the full amount.
So before they buy that lot, they have to pay us $2,400 and a couple of hundred to Carroll County.
If it's a private land sale, right?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Before HICID would sign a quitclaim deed.
Okay.
And so the problem for the buyer would be if they bought that lot and there's essentially a lien on it from HICID for back assessments, we would not sign the quitclaim deed. And so the title company would not issue a warranty deed on the property.
Okay.
It wouldn't have clear title, I guess is the way I would describe it.
Do we accumulate on those delinquent lots? Do we accumulate every year? In other words, do we add in 2022 to what was past due in 2021, 20, so on and so forth? So it just keeps building and building and building.
That's correct.
So if it's been delinquent for X number of years, and I walk in and want to buy it, I've got a bill that $3,000 or $4,000.
Well, of course, all of these are almost always going to be lots, which is only basically $500 a year. And they
Yeah.
typically foreclose after the second year of non-payment of assessment. Now, it got a little screwy during COVID, just like everything else did, but they said they told me that typically after the second year of non-payment, they would foreclose. So, you know, it shouldn't be quite that much, because remember, it's not as much as a house.
No,
Well, what I'm saying is, excuse me, if I go to buy a lot that's got delinquent county taxes, ad valorem taxes, okay, then at that point in time, I can make a bid on it. If there's $500 owed on that particular parcel of land in taxes, and the land commissioner puts it up for bid, and I bid $500,
Oh, okay, so you're talking about
selling it.
one that's already been foreclosed
Yeah,
on.
one that's been turned over to the land commissioner. But then we come along and say, okay, we have added to that the assessment of benefits all these years building up to that. So therefore, at say $250 per year or $300 per year. And if it's been 3 years, that's $900, okay? Plus the county taxes.
And I see you.
And then if I say, okay, I will give you $500 for that, that's fine with the state land commissioner, but we got $900 still sitting out there, and they say, no, we want all of that. That makes it where, is it actually beneficial to even try to sell that lot?
Yeah, good question. Dan?
Dan Keys, 120 Holiday Island Drive. After, I believe that once the district forecloses on a particular lot, the district has title to it. The district does not assess itself for that lot. So once the back assessments quit accumulating as soon as the district forecloses on it. Now, the taxes may continue to accumulate, but not the assessments.
Thank you.
That is correct. And to further complicate matters, the sequence of events matters. Because if we, for example, we have a foreclosure sale coming, and let's say a lot has $1,000 back assessments, the opening bid, the minimum bid would be that $1,000. And that's what someone would owe. However, if it didn't sell and the foreclosure goes through, it comes back to HICID, then those past AOBs would be cleared out and we would own the lot. There are lots that the county has done foreclosure on, and they're at the Commissioner of State Lands, some of which have already been foreclosed by HICID and wiped clean of past AOBs. Some of those lots have not gone through HICID foreclosure, and so those past AOBs are still attached. So in many instances, it is determined by who does the foreclosure first, that sequence.
So, that was my question to begin with. It's not accumulating. If we have the lot back in our name,
At that point, it's
at
wiped
that
clean.
point in time, we're not adding to it and building it up till it gets up to $5,000 in assessments, makes it prohibitive to
Sure.
even sell.
Sure.
That was my original question. Thank you.
Well, my final question is, wouldn't it be good to have that one-page document so that Regina doesn't have to go through this maybe 25 times a week? And there's Bureau of Land, State Land Commissioners also, and then their county is foreclosing. It gets a little confusing to the person who's calling in about X lot on Holiday Island Drive. They don't know whether it's state lands, they don't know whether it's HICID foreclosure, they don't know anything, except if it's up for sale by a realtor and it's free and clear and there's no problem. But there's about 3 scenarios that we've talked about this
Oh, yeah.
morning, and it's pretty, if we, If we intend to get rid of some of these lots, not get rid of, but have people living in them and build a home, which we're having real good success with this year, we could have more success. But if I were, do I want to move to Bella Vista or do I want to move to Holiday Island? If I have to go through a bunch of legal work and confusion about whether this lot is really for sale and how much it is for sale for, or whether it's foreclosed on by the county or HICID or the state lands, I'm gonna go to Bella Vista.
Well, I will say, and I have to brag on staff, I don't know if Regina has a cheat sheet like you've just described, but I can tell you that she understands this process inside out. And she can tell you just very quickly what's owed on it, whether it's at the Commissioner of State Lands, whether it's HICID AOBs that are owed, or back taxes at the county. She has that information at her fingertips.
And our lawyers over the years have approved this, what's due and what's collectible, right? A lawyer.
Yes, sir, and we've had a lot of correspondence with our attorney on making sure we're getting this right.
Great, thank you.
Well, the one good thing about this particular chart, though, is we'll be able to see as the ALB revenue comes in, all the way through the year.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the reserves?
And essentially no change on the reserves. As the board is aware, we did have a CD that came due, and we reinvested that at a significantly higher return. So we're happy about that. And then there will be, we have 6 different CDs. Every month or two, there's another one coming due. So I'm happy to answer any questions if you have any on the financials.
Okay.
I was smiling at your phrase, significantly greater.
Yeah,
It's still ain't much.
instead of
Yes.
0.1, it was 0.3, right?
We were at 0.15 and now we were at 0.5, so over 3 times.
Yeah,
So instead of $10, we're gonna get $30.
Yeah. We'll take it.
Big.
Corporal Engel, would you like to talk about the sheriff's report?
Sure will. Couple things first. Sorry I was late. I was writing a ticket on Holiday Island Drive, so I know
That'll make
you guys
people-
are really happy. And then the comments on what you guys were just talking about, not in this capacity, but in my other capacity, how you were comparing Bella Vista to Holiday Island. But that's a valid thing because we're similar in a lot of ways. I've sold a couple lots out here recently that I've got my builder that I built with Bella Vista. We're going to start building out here. Pros and cons to Bella Vista versus Holiday Island is how we weigh out some things. Is Bella Vista, we have to do a septic tank. Versus out here we have a sewer. Our Bella Vista, our tap fees are a lot higher out there than it is here. So ultimately, it's all money thing at the end of the day, how much money that the builders and the investors and stuff are able to bring home. But I haven't been real involved, I don't know, as far as with the city and the planning and all that, but that's one of the things that has driven some of these builders out of Bella Vista and Denton County is the headaches that they're dealing with the building inspectors and dealing with the city. And Bella Vista, we own property in Bella Vista, we've got rentals out there, and it's a pain sometimes. So things can essentially run smoother out here. You pick up a lot, a heck of a lot cheaper out here in Holiday Island. You don't have to do a septic tank. So at the end of the day, you more money in their pocket because they're going to be building spec homes and stuff like that. The highest con that these guys have seen is the assessment benefits. It's about $300 more a year than it is in Bella Vista. So that's one thing that doesn't necessarily hurt the builder because they're only paying it probably once in the time that they own the unapproved lot, so they'll never pay the actual improved lot, it'll be sold by then. But it's just trying to, the clientele on the buyers. That's something that they end up wanting to investigate a little bit more, what are they getting for $800 a year?
Right.
But otherwise, they're pretty excited about coming out here and trying to get this area to grow.
Good.
It's
So,
good to hear.
Good.
I would just say make it, when it comes to the cities and all that, make it easy for these guys, because they'll get frustrated and leave building in that city because it's a headache, they'll want nothing to do with it. So,
In that regard, my opinion is, number one, if we got somebody that will promise to build a house on a lot within a year, give him the lot. I'm serious. Give the lot away. Wipe off the debt and say, we'll give you the lot, we'll deed it to you if you build a house on it within a year. And that way, you've got a constant revenue coming in because houses pay. Lots don't. And I did this at Diamond Head, and I got a builder that built 14 houses in 2 years. And they're still paying.
that's an awesome idea.
That works for the lots that we own, it doesn't.
I have two of them you can have.
Because I mean, if they're good lots, because I mean, and with builders, most of the builders themselves have investors. So one investor is building 2 homes. That builder may be building 7 homes, but he's got 3 investors involved as far as who's actually forking out the money for the build. So
They can afford to buy them.
Yeah.
they're all about, just building more. I've got one guy that wants 20 lots. He wants 20 lots in Holiday Alley. And that's a lot.
We
But
got
it's also a lot of work. Trying to find those perfect ones, so.
Yeah.
It's slowly growing.
It is.
Well, Northwest Arkansas is going to boom. We're not, unfortunately, our infrastructure, transportation-wise, between here and the Bentonville, Rogers area where the corridor is, that it's going to be growing tremendously, is not the best in the world. You take your life in your hands driving the road to get there, but anyway, believe it or not, there's a lot of people that do.
Well, I'll give you my March stats. So March we had 142 calls for service with 22 traffic stops, 10 citations and 12 warnings, 4 accidents, 5 alarms, 1 agency assist, 1 aggravated assault, 3 animal calls, 2 citizen assist, 3 civils, 2 civil process, 2 criminal mischiefs. We had 5 domestics, 34 extra patrols, 16 follow-ups, 2 frauds, 1 gunshot, 3 harassments, and 3 noise complaints, 1 vehicle pursuit, 1 reckless driver, 2 suicidal calls, 13 suspicious vehicle or suspicious person calls, 1 theft, 1 threat, 1 trespassing, 2 unattended vehicles, 1 warrant service, 2 welfare checks, 8 911 hang-up or open lines, made 2 felony arrests, 3 misdemeanor arrests. That is all
Keeps
for
you
20
busy.
March.
That's
2
good.
felony arrests. Can you give us any more information or not?
One was drugs, one was ag assault.
I have a question on alarms. If an alarm goes off at a business, let's say, or a home at 11 at night, what is the sheriff's department respond for that?
So initially, whenever an alarm call comes in, whether residential or commercial, we immediately get dispatched. We show en route. One of the steps the dispatch drives doing. Alarm company they say they try, but there's so many alarm companies that just get to us, and we start calling. We start trying to make contact. A lot of times if, we'll say it could be a cleaning company who didn't punch in the right code, or they didn't get the alarm shut off prior. So we always go en route immediately. As soon as we're dispatched, we go en route. Now, I'd probably say probably well over half that we are canceled while en route because the homeowner had called back and said, hey, it was me. They gave the right passcode because alarm companies are gonna not only want like a passcode for your button system, but a secret word type thing, so they know it's you. And then obviously if we get those, then we just, good. And there's several that, I don't want to say like repeat offenders, but like we've had alarm calls there where people have actually had B&Es where we've worked the cases. Even if we get canceled, there's times we still go. Just because a lot of the homes are vacation homes. And so like the homeowner's like, oh, no, it's fine. It's probably just a moth flying around. Well, that probably could be something. So we'll still go out there. The same thing, the alarm calls kind of work the same as far as how we get dispatched. Same with like the 911 calls. So if somebody accidentally dials 911 from their pocket, that happens. We go. Very rarely do we not go to those, check them out. If you call 911 on accident and the dispatch calls you back and you're like, oh, it's Ken, he's okay, then it's pretty easy to tell on the phone whether they're going to be in harm or not. But there's a lot of times that, all of our call history, anytime that number or that address or anything is logged in our dispatch, and we've got a log of it. So if they've had 4 domestics there in the last year and they accidentally call 911 and we call them back and say, no, everything's okay, it was an accidental. Oh, you bet your butt we're going. Because that's just one of the things that can turn into something.
Good. Thank you.
Several questions, Corporal.
Yeah.
First of all, can you give us an update on the move of your hub office?
We are moved.
Yeah,
We moved to 5 Forest Park Drive, which is the building where the little pizza truck's at right now. We are in the old Holiday Island Realty office. So right now it's not logoed or anything on there, no decal. The owner of that building is putting the new LED strips up top. And then, of course, we had to, because we're in a different size, our office is bigger, the windows are bigger, we're drawing up different decals, but we're not going to do any of the decals on there until the owner gets the new signs up because we just want it all done at once. We were able to get it changed on Google, moved it over that way, mailbox all changed, so it's going to be a good location as well, right on the highway,
oh yeah,
so people know where we're at.
Yep.
A lot bigger office.
I think it's a very positive move, both for you and for the citizens of the community. And, when you are at the office and your vehicle's out front, and people can easily see that and know that, if they need help or whatever, have a question, they can pull in and take care of business. So,
And I couldn't tell you how many walk-ins I get. Sometimes it's quite annoying. Only because I don't go to Berryville. I only go to Berryville normally once a week-ish. If I don't have to go there, I don't. Because I've got everything here, either in my patrol car or in my office that I need. I've got everything from my evidence bags to all my documents, so I don't have to go to Berryville. So there's times where I'll be in that office typing a report, and someone comes in and wants to talk. And don't get me wrong, I love talking.
Really?
Sometimes it makes it kind of hard to get those documents done. The biggest plus that I'm going to see about this new office is there is a back alley. So there's going to be times where if I've got a lot of paperwork to do, definitely I'll be and park around back.
Park the cruiser out back.
Yeah, that way get it done. But like location, I mean, just on next month, or was it, one of these pursuits, we've had a couple, but the location of it really was perfect the other night whenever we got dispatched out to a pursuit that Berry County was in. And it was, anytime that there's a multi-agency type of call, there's always going to be a delay. You know, so by the time the officer actually started in Cassville, Missouri, and by the time their officers contact our dispatch, or contact their dispatch, who contacts ours, we had no idea. You know, they're telling us, well, they're in Eagle Rock by Farm Road, something's up. Well, I don't know where Farm Road something's up is. And so finally, next thing you know, my next update is they're on 23 North going toward Holiday Island. And I'm like, that's me. You know, and this is 11 o'clock at night. And so, you know, I immediately, the way the office is set up, you've got a front little like lobby area, and then my office is, I guess, around the corner. So I grab my computer and I shut the light off and I go to leave and I ran right to the door. Because there's no lights. Because there's no lights up in front of the building. I got no lights in my office. I shut the light off already and just smack dab right in that door. So I've got night lights all around the office. But I was able just to hop out there. I went in CS Bank parking lot, got my spike strip set up. It was a 2006 GT Mustang. And he came around that corner and you saw him. I heard him coming before I ever saw him. Got the spike strip, got all 4 tires. And then we got the pursuit in, went all the way to back around in Roaring River. Went through Seligman, went down 187. I mean, this dude's driving on rims. Ended up ramming the police chief of Seligman.
Oh, my word.
Yeah, I mean, it got pretty nasty. But that's the stuff we deal with.
Yeah. Well, I was pleased to hear you say you were late to this meeting because you were writing a ticket. And I want to offer firm commitment from this board that we would like to see more of that.
Yeah.
We all get a multitude of complaints, especially on Holiday Island Drive, but State Line as well. And, you know, anything we can do to help with that encouragement, to help crack down on these people, let us know. One thing that, you know, I thought of, periodically in other communities, you see those mobile radar units, you know, that flash your speed when you're going over the speed limit. Does Carroll County have those?
No.
Okay.
No.
Where do people, I mean, is that something that communities, I see the mayor is raising his hand and I was gonna go to him next.
I have all the
Maybe we ought to buy one. What's that?
I have all the information on those. It's on my to-do list to see if we can't get a few of those and get them put up. They're not cheap, but I think they're very.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cheap.
Sometimes it's just lack of awareness. People, you know, they're talking on their phone, texting and all.
You're talking about the speed limit sign with the readout on the top, replacing our current speed limit signs
That
with,
might just be a
is that what you're
portable
talking
box.
about?
The ones that flash,
What your
it says
speed
what the speed limit is and it flashes how fast you are going.
Yes, yeah, and we had talked about that way early on.
Well, that's a great
There's different
idea.
options. There's some that are stationary where it's just a sign, it's got a solar panel and all that, and there's some that are the trailers, like you'll see,
Yeah.
that where they can move around different areas. Normally, like the trailer style, you're gonna see in your big metro cities, because they can move those all over. Versus something like this, you could put it wherever. My only, I hate to say this, but stealing it. I mean, like, I would hate to see the cost of one of those things. And then on top of that, someone stealing it being way out here in the country. And I know that you've been looking into like the ones with signs, because I get hit with that too. People all the time will tell me, oh, we need this or we need that. I'm like, that's, you know, like, above my pay grade. And, well, I've sent emails to so-and-so, and I'm like, listen, like, I can only do so much. And like this guy wrote a ticket this morning, 19 over, 44 and 25.
Oh, my God.
And he didn't live here, used this as a cut through to go to bring his wife here every morning.
Yeah.
And so I said, if you're on this road every day, there's plenty of speed limit signs. Like there's a ton. And then I've got a list, it's actually in my office, that I was gonna try to get with you to get with the road department about getting a couple extra little speed limit signs here and there. Because one of the complaints that we get on an area is County Line Road. So it's got 3 names to it, but the very back road in Holiday Island, so it's either County Line Road, it's either County Road 242, or it's Farm Road 2300. That has 3 names to it because we do butt up to Missouri right there. But when it comes to enforcing speed on that road, I can't. Because whenever you're coming in from Holiday Island, or coming in from 23, the first speed limit sign that you see is almost a Holiday Island drive. So there's no way that I can enforce a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit at the beginning of the road. Well, there's no speed limit sign. So the last speed limit sign that gentleman probably saw was on 23, which is 55 miles an hour. So you've got to have speed limit signs at the entrance of certain roads and neighborhoods and stuff like that.
Yep.
So there's a couple that I would love to, that way, because that's one of our highly traveled roads, and that's a route that the people that need to be stopped, you know what I'm saying, the people that are coming back and forth to Berry County, and but probable cause is the thing we gotta have to stop them. So if that speed limit sign in itself could help us enforce certain things. As far as inside, the majority of them, I mean, everything's pretty well marked. There are a couple of them that I've written down that I wouldn't mind seeing get replaced, just because they're so old that people say, oh, I didn't realize it was there.
It's hiding under the tree.
Yeah. Which means I've called Kennedy for, I'm like, hey, can you cut this tree down? It's blocking us out. And they come and cut it down.
So I promised my final question.
Yeah.
Any update on the Yamaha golf cart that went missing to the wind?
Yeah, I saw it on eBay. I bid on it, didn't we? No, I don't have any more. When I talked to Lauren on Wednesday about 5:45 or something like that. And I took off, we had family in town, so I was off Thursday and Friday. And so he didn't have all the information that was needed for my report on whenever I talked to him. He was already out of the office or whatever, but he was just telling me that number 23 is missing. They did a count. They don't know who it could have been rented to. But we kind of talked about maybe some future ways of logging things, and if there's a way of, I know he said like the lease is up on these, and so I don't know with new ones if they're able to get not a universal key, a vehicle specific key, or if they're all just, is there not?
What they need is a low jack on them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And unfortunately, they're just, it's like
Yeah.
every backhoe and every road grader.
Every John Deere tractor.
Every
same
John Deere
key.
tractor, the same key,
Yeah.
Every RV compartment
Yeah.
has the same key,
unless
yeah.
you change it.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
So I
right.
did see that they'd moved them down below at night. The other night I came by and they were parked up on the,
I wonder if they did
oh,
that
they may
just
have
for the
done that
chili
for the
cook-off.
chili
So,
cook-off.
So
That's
was
probably why they
the-
moved them.
When everything was built up there, like all the storage units, were those made for the golf carts?
Yeah.
to rent
They're made for rental.
for
Rent.
individuals.
They're not for storage, they're
Got it,
not for
okay. So I drove through there, and you see where there's the little parking bumpers inside the storage units. I didn't know if those were essentially made
Those-
for
those
the,
Yeah.
privately owned carts,
okay.
rental for private carts.
Got it. Is there a system that the city could do, where I said, as far as locking the golf carts up, kind of like what you see at Lowe's and Home Depot, whenever they lock up all of their,
Run a cable?
Chain them together.
Well, I was, actually, I was at a Lowe's yesterday, and I noticed all their XUVs that they had out in front have those yellow clamps that go on a rear tire, you know, like you'd put in a
Boot,
parking violator.
California boot.
Yeah, California boot, they're
Yeah.
called, I think. But, again, that, if you're gonna put that on 30 vehicles every night,
Yeah.
Be tough.
it gets to be a
It's
task.
a
I think on something like that.
I think
golf
a
carts,
corral would be the good idea myself, but
you could almost run them, I mean, the big expense would be the cost of a super long thick cable, but instead of like, you see them at Lowe's where they run through like the wheels and stuff like that, where on the golf carts, because they're all parked in one line, you could probably run that cable, if you got a long enough one, almost through the
steering wheel.
roll cage or the steering wheel or something to where like, if they are going to try to seal it with that cable on it, I mean, it's probably, yes, it's gonna do damage, but it'll.
Requires some effort on their part,
Yeah.
yeah.
They're gonna steal it, they're too lazy to do much.
And,
Not a real frequent problem either.
no,
This is the first one that-
and like the last couple of times we've had these, it's been kids, you know, someone that was just joyriding. But to my knowledge, I mean, I haven't got any phone calls. I think everybody in the community as a whole, especially people that are on the board and are involved with the city, if they saw a golf cart parked in someone's garage or at a place, they would call. But that's kind of like one of those things that we just ask the community for help. Because there's no way that we can drive every single city street 24/7, looking in garages and stuff like that. He said that they were gonna look in the ponds on Thursday. I don't,
The pond.
Pawn shop,
no, the pond.
Pawn shop.
No, the
Oh,
pond, like water.
I think-
POND.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, I don't know if they did, I haven't touched base with them this morning yet, but if you guys get any tips or anything, we love them. Anything can help.
You'll be the first to know, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to get an update on our new requirements for wastewater treatment.
I was just asking Dan if Jeff was gonna be able to be here. Have you heard from him, Dan?
Jeff's not gonna make it today, ran into a few issues.
Okay.
But I bet you can tell us about
Well,
it.
what we're looking at is with our new permit we received, we have to dechlorinate at the wastewater plant. So with that in mind, we got a 3-year time limit to get dechlorination activated. There's 2 options, either we can use another chemical, the chlorine that's already, or the chlorine we already use has to disappear, so it has to be dechlorinated before it reaches the final effluent. There's another choice of going UV, disinfection. That's kind of where we're headed to. And what Jeff was gonna do is just have some ideas on, which option is better, have some preliminary figures together, just so, you know what's gonna have to happen. But he's not, he said he was gonna call too, but apparently still not there, but he'll be ready next month to kind of go over what he's got,
Yeah.
the game plan.
What's your target? If we have 3 years, what's your target date to get this implemented?
Let's see, it'd be April of 25.
April of 25?
Yep.
But we probably don't want to wait that long, do we? You can try to
No, because each year we'll have to have, like, April of 23, we have to have, like, identify the plan, which route we're going. 24, we gotta be, like, in building process or
Sure.
acquired it, and then 25, that's actually when we have to have it done.
Has to be completed.
Using it, so.
Do you have an idea right now what kind of money we're talking about?
No, I don't have any idea. And that's why I was hoping Jeff would be here, so he can kind of give a rundown on.
Well, maybe he can come
what we
next
look
month.
at, but,
We'll certainly work on that.
Yeah.
He'll be sure to be here.
Sure.
I know you, when we had the board tour of your facility, you talked about this to us, and it was kind of a, we think of chlorine as something that would be added to drinking water. That's not the case. This is chlorine that's added as part of the process of cleaning up waste. And so you add it, and then you have to take it away before that final
Discharge.
discharge is made into the lake or wherever. And
This is nothing new. There's several treatment plants that have received this message. I knew we were gonna get it, it's just a matter of time.
yeah,
They just want it dechlorinated, so we're not the only ones got hit with it, but Jeff's working on 2 or 3 other ones. So it's just what the state requires.
would Jeff know about the possibility of any like federal grants or anything that might be available through the EPA?
Yeah, that's what he was gonna
Okay.
kind of go over too.
Excellent.
and, see what we
Right.
can do. And, given that we're, I was only notified, I think, when was it, March? That we need to do the dechlorination. So, first thing I did is got on the phone with Jeff and said, hey, we need to, hit the ground running, let's go, because, before you know it, it'll be here.
Yep.
So that's why we're trying to be a little proactive, get it started, and get where we need to go.
We appreciate proactiveness rather
Yes.
than reactiveness,
Yes.
so.
Yeah.
And we'll have to build something. We're not sure of that yet either, as far as if we go UV, because we don't have a containment for UV, so, and then where to place it. So there'll be a little construction going on with this, so.
So it would be more than just an inline,
Yeah, because we gotta keep the chlorine going.
yeah.
Is it the last process before it's discharged into the lake?
That's the last process.
Last process.
Dan, for the new plants that are being built, do you think they've got this already incorporated into it? Ours is about 10, 12 years old, right?
Oh, yeah, all the new plants.
All of them, okay.
Very seldom you see plants now, majority of them are using UV also. Sometimes.
Good.
Well, thank you for coming and letting us know what's ahead. We appreciate that.
We-
Please
we
tell
do.
him we'd like to have him back to give us all the details.
Oh, yes, so would I.
Yeah, I bet. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Dan.
I hate to put you on the spot because I would like to give you a little heads up ahead of time, but could you perhaps give us a status update on where we are on the rec center?
Yes, I have a conference call today with Janice and with the architect. We made a few changes a couple of weeks ago, so I have the second iteration of the floor plan on my desk. After today, we'll incorporate a few more minor changes. I met with the surveyor. In fact, Dan and I both met with the surveyor. Was that early last week? I think it was on Monday of last week or Friday of the week
Right.
before.
Right.
Dan did a one call, and they came out and located lines and whatnot, and then the surveyor has done what he needed to do, because that'll be a part of the overall site plan for the design. So we've gotten that done, and so it's moving a little faster than I expected, and I'm grateful for that. We'll see how our call goes at 1 o'clock today. Janice had just a few more ideas that she wanted to see if we could
Work in.
incorporate into this design, so.
All right, thank you for that. I know everybody's wondering about it.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to commend you, Danny, for trying to get this as small a footprint as possible. I understand that construction costs are going over 200, maybe 250 a foot, and we've reduced this from 6,100 feet 2000 or so. And as I said a meeting or so ago, that building is not used for what it was 50 years ago. It's to check in and check out for swimming, 2 pools, and check in and check out for golf. And if you look at the financial report, very, very little golf down there. I'm just shocked at what a nice 9-hole course it is. And but anyway, I think we can really get by. And I know that Kenny has made a new gate over there to go into the pool from the island room. So I think we'll be ready, you know, at least have swimming along in late May or whenever it's going to open. But we just need to keep in that amount that we approved, and it's going to be tough. But I think by getting the ideas that you have from all of us and Janice and others that work there, we can keep it at budget.
Sounds good. Depending on what we come up with today at 1 o'clock, and it'll probably take a couple of weeks to get those changes on paper. And I'll be sure to share that with the board so you can see how this design is shaping up.
Thank you, thank you. Any other comments? All right, let's move ahead to old business. We need to do the second reading of Regulation 2022-002, which is a regulation amending certain portions of our road and bridges to the city of Holiday Island, dedicating approximately 14,715 linear feet of State Line Drive and approximately 8,375 linear feet of Hawk Drive to the city of Holiday Island. That will be a requirement in order to move ahead with the grant that they received to repave all of those. We have voted on this once. We need to do it a second time. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we approve this regulation.
Okay.
Second.
Commissioner Brown has made a motion. Commissioner Surratt has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Mayor, you may move right ahead.
So this takes effect immediately, is that correct, now that we've passed it?
I think so. It
Yes,
doesn't,
sir.
it doesn't say
It does.
anything about any delay. So yes.
Do we have, which leads me to the next question, do we have the agreement in place for maintenance of those roadways, the right-of-ways and so forth, this summer?
No, sir, we do not. Mayor and I have discussed that, about what's the mechanism for that, that the city would pay HICID to maintain those roads. It's on our to-do list,
Correct.
but we will certainly be working on that. And while we're on this topic, if you don't mind, do you have any idea on the start date? We're still, 2 to 3 weeks out?
They really haven't said, you know,
Okay.
they haven't even told us how much really heads up we're gonna get. So it may be, hey, we got the equipment on the truck, we're heading your way. And that may be all the notification we get.
That'd be all right though, wouldn't it?
That's okay.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I mean,
Bring it on.
to get that kind of paving done, yes, we're ready. We're ready.
Commissioner Dyer, whatever agreement that we have for maintenance of these roads, of course, would come to the board for your approval and your review. But just in principle, what I believe it should be is a formula of the total miles of roads that we have in Holiday Island and the total cost of our road department. And we do it as a percentage of that. And if I'm not mistaken, this equals roughly 6% of the roads. And so that was kind of the conversation that the mayor and I had. So I think it will be a formula, something like that, if that's agreeable with the board.
That would seem very logical.
I hope so, yes.
Which means it won't fly.
Take the logic out of that.
Fly with us.
All right, we had no new business on our agenda. I'd like to move along to public comments. Do we have public comments from any members of our audience? Al, do I need to read the little thing about 3 minutes and state your name? And we might respond and we might not.
Has anything changed in the last 7 years?
No.
Al Salk, 22 Buckskin Lane. I just want to refer back to what Corporal Ingles said about Bella Vista fees, and here, he forgot to mention, our, what we call amenity fee is higher than Bella Vista's. But Bella Vista has like a 5.5 or a 6 mil property tax on the properties, and that needs to be pointed out also.
They also have a population of about 30,000 people.
Yes.
On septic tanks.
On septic tanks, yes.
And septic tank restrictions from the state, just like our dechlorinating the water, are getting tougher and tougher and more expensive. But definitely, I'll mention to Deputy Ingles when I see him that we need to include that. Sales tax kind of offsets it.
For sure.
Thank you for mentioning that. One of the things that I did at the beginning was I went through all the planned communities that I knew of, looking at their amenity fees and their assessment fees. I mean, all the way from the villages in Florida to some of the ones in Arizona. And you can't live anywhere else as inexpensively as you can live here.
Right, good.
So it was quite an eye-opener, it really was. Thank you for that, Al. Yes, sir.
I have a
Yes.
question. Al Smartridge, 22 Mission Hills Lane. Actually, I was going to ask the professional engineer from the consulting company this question, but since he didn't show up, I'm going to throw it out. I would like to know what the status is of the grant application for the water line that was made sometime last year. Where are we with that? What's the anticipated answer from the state of Arkansas? I received just Friday, and I'll see if I can find it here, an email that went to multiple communities across the state. Let's see if I can find it here. Well, I don't see it. But it was an update from the Secretary of Agriculture. And it stated in there what is remaining of that money from the rescue. It was the Rescue Act for these projects, these water infrastructure projects. I was at the Arkansas City Managers Conference this past week and learned that the state had taken some of that money and moved it around for other things.
Not here.
But I do have an update on that. I do not have an update on the status of our particular application. We did make it through the first cut, whatever that was. And I forwarded the email that I got from the Secretary of Agriculture to Jeff Denhart, our engineer, because he is heading up that project and that application process.
Did he mention a time frame for the next cut, or in the letter, or?
It was a very, very lengthy email, and I'm happy to share it with you, and I'll send it to the board as well, where you can see what's going on at the state level with that funding.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Alex, and we're all cognizant of the needs of that road and trying desperately to find money to figure out how to fix it. Please hang in there with us.
How to fix it and not Band-Aid it.
Yeah, not Band-Aid it, that's it. We would like to just get it done.
Yep.
All right, Commissioner comments.
Madam Chair, I'm going to do something a little different. I'm going to hand out to our guests and also to the board a calling card here. I helped Vern Anderson. We did the parking lot at the CS Bank on St. Patrick's Day for the Chamber of Commerce. And Vernon Anderson and I were there for about 4 hours, and there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people there, and all the parking spots were full, so we didn't make much money. They were waiting for the parade. But what Vern did and what I did, people that came in, we gave them this card. This is from HiPro, Holiday Island Promoting Residential Ownership. And it's a $25 a year donation, and many of us have been donating to that for years. And Vern is one of the officers, and it's amazing. We had at least 3 people that once they got this card, they said, "Oh, Holiday Island, I didn't know where that is. Where is this?" So all of the, and our church is trying to grow the church. We have a Grow the Church committee, and what we found is that people who want to go to church, they're looking for a new church, they only usually do it through the internet. They don't come and visit, they don't come for Easter Sunday. They find out your website. So we've been working a lot on the website. So what I'd like to ask you all to do, the guests and the members of the board and employees, if there's anybody that you see at Sunfest or, you know, in the neighborhood or whatever, who are new to St. T, and you're over at Rogers or you're shopping or wherever, be a salesman, a salesperson of sorts, and these are about 3 or 4 websites that you can go on and find out how great this place is. And I think we're going to grow. We've been talking a lot about lots and so forth today. I think the future looks great, and I commend HiPro for the work that they're doing to help with that task. Thank you.
Thank you, and yes, I think all of us recognize the amount of work that those people in HiPro put into this. They had expertise in marketing, and they were willing to share it with the community, and we all appreciate it, yes. Any other comments, sir?
Madam Chairman, I would like to recognize Lynn Dumas, City Councilman Lynn Dumas, for what I understand he did personally, and that is the cleanup effort across the street where the cardboard recycle facility is.
I witnessed that.
Yeah,
Yes, it was
and, you know, for him to take the initiative on his own and to do that, he needs to be recognized.
Absolutely.
And it is very much appreciated. I would like to encourage the district manager to, and maybe even the mayor, to work with Carroll County and see if there's a possibility. That facility gets overused every week.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that we discourage people who want to do the right thing and recycle. We discourage them by letting this thing just overflow, and so they drive on by and do whatever. We need either multiple recycle bins over there, or daily or every other day attention to it. Something needs to be done. And but again, Lynn Dumas did the right thing. I'd also like to recognize the Holiday Island Hospitality Association, who Friday, a group of volunteers from HiHa got together and walked roadside ditches. And Ken, I know you were, my doctor wouldn't let me bend over Friday, but because of my eye, but do you have any idea how many bags of litter y'all picked up? Because I saw the mountain of bags.
I think we had 29 bags, those orange bags, and also Lynn Dumas was with his pickup truck picking those up because Roy Albeck and his crew couldn't get all of them. So I'd like to commend Lynn for that as well.
Yeah.
But there was a really good turnout, and it was after the Rotary Club. Thank you,
Yeah.
Rotarians, and we just did a really good job. And you wonder why people throw stuff out the window, but it's been happening for centuries, I guess. But
So
yeah,
windy,
it was a really nice day.
My wife reaffirmed, based on our, because we've done it every year in the past, been a part of it, and the number one thing you pick up along the roadside are these little tiny bottles of Fireball.
Yes.
Who in the world drinks all that and then just pitches it out? They evidently stop at the L&L gas station in Missouri, stock up on their little Fireballs, and on the way home they're. So, again, thank you everybody that was involved in that.
Absolutely.
I found a torn $5 bill one time. but Judy Kelly wouldn't give me a new flat top bill, which is sad. That's the only thing of value I've ever found out there.
You didn't have the serial number half, evidently.
And I would affirm what you said about it'd be nice if we had a second cardboard thing. I've driven down here with all of my collection of Amazon boxes and other things, and it's been so full and overflowing,
Yeah.
I just take them home with me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it would be good.
Well, I think some people let them go to the wind on the way home.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Madam Chairman?
Yes.
Person? Just a couple of things. One is that in defense of Carroll County Solid Waste, they put that recycle container out there purely as a courtesy and a service. They get nothing for doing that. And yes, they probably need to pick up more often, but nothing's free in this world, so it costs them to run out here and pick it up.
I thought they sold that cardboard.
Well, yeah, but I don't know that covers their cost even, so. But with that said, the city is in the process of negotiating a contract for Carroll County Solid Waste to be the sole carrier or hauler in Holiday Island, and we can certainly make that make a point in the contract that they need to provide that service and maintain it appropriately. And I guess that's it, because I forgot what the second one is.
When you sit down and.
Oh, I know what the other one was. I don't think anybody acknowledged the fact that the chili cook-off was this weekend, and it was, again, I think quite successful. I'm not sure there was as many teams as there was last year. And maybe it just didn't look that way because nobody set their tents up. The sun was shining and the wind was blowing,
So windy.
so they didn't put their tents up. But it seemed to be pretty well attended again and was pretty successful and brings a little bit of notoriety to Holiday Island. So whoever, kudos to whoever organizes that every year.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other comments?
I've got some. If, in case anybody turns in a trash bin missing out of the ditch up here on State Line, it was me. I stole that thing and put it back behind the house where it belonged. It's only been there since fall.
Oh,
But anyway, I did that. My other comment is, I really think that we should really consider having an in-house accountant. This last year, when we did the budget, little did we know, or we're not, all of us were not informed of the fact that we had a surplus of $1.5 million. But we turned around and we raised all the user fees, we raised the assessment, because we didn't know exactly where we were. And I don't think, probably most of us could have voted for an increase in the assessment fee, because you get those assessments up there, you're killing the community. And we're not being good stewards of our owners' money whenever we do things like that. Our user fees should not have gone necessarily increased. I know the cost of the golf courses and all this other kind of stuff had probably increased, because anything that has to do with a petroleum base or anything else, they're going to penalize us for driving electric cars. And so the oil companies are going to raise their prices. But we need faster and up-to-date information to make decisions, particularly whenever it comes to spending people's money. That's the end of my comment.
Any other comments? All right, let's move ahead to commissioner agenda scheduling. I show that we will have a work session on May the 16th, a tentative work session I mean, you can see by the short agenda that we had this morning, there really was no need to have it last week. And that our regular meeting will be on May the 23rd, Monday, May the 23rd.
Madam Chair, I'd like to ask that we've canceled two work sessions because there wasn't enough to talk about. But I think prior to the budget being prepared, and I hope it starts in July or August rather than September or October, but I think there's several things that we could talk about that could take a couple hours. I mean, we wouldn't have to be here 3-4 hours, but that we could delve into. The finances that you brought up today, Danny, are good. I like your presentation on the screen. And I think it gives everybody an idea about selling lots and all that we went through. When we're in a regular meeting, and this one is going to be over in for about an hour and a half length, which is real good. But there are things that we could go into more deeply in a workshop, and I guess that's why we changed the regulation to do that. It was done back in 11-12 when we had different district managers. One of them wanted that, and I thought it worked out pretty well. But if we don't have an item that's for the next week's meeting, we could delve into things that we don't get a chance to do. Maybe have some of the department managers. By that time, maybe we would know a little bit more about the rec center. We could go into just more in detail, both as a learning process for the public and a learning process for us, to get the time to talk about things, to ask you questions, give us feedback, and maybe get some of the employees in. You know, we did a city BOC workshop, and I didn't think it was too successful. I didn't think we got that much out of it, but we promised the voters when they voted to be a city and incorporate that the two could work together. We had a lot of people say, we don't need two forms of government, just get rid of that SID. Well, I didn't think that was a good idea. That's why I voted for the city to continue on for as long as we could. But there are other things, like you brought up about the water pipes. We need to talk more about that. And thank you for looking at that grant, Danny and Mayor. There are other things that we could talk about that we could, and I don't want a bunch of committees set up necessarily, but being elected in my last year here, I think incumbent upon us to try to get as much information out to the public and get as much clarification as possible. And that's why I'd like to see a workshop on the 16th. And then if no one brings it up, I guess no one's interested, then I don't know why we made the code of regulations change to do that. But one of them maybe could be a meeting with the city, and I think that there are enough items, Mayor, that we could get the council members' input and just have a dialogue. We won't pass anything that meeting, but we could. Where are we going? Where are we headed? Roughly west or what? So I'd like to see that happen.
Well, and I think when we have those work sessions, there might be items that may not require action from the board, but just to be informed. And I like to be informed.
Yeah.
And I think that we should have them. There will always be something to talk about.
Okay. All right. We have done this in record time because we had a short agenda. It is now 10:30. I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
Oh, I have one question. Is this just for our information, or some things coming up in the future about it, or what?
It's just for your information.
Good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
And thank you to Cheryl.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Cheryl.
Good job.
The 23rd meeting, that's my brother-in-law's funeral.
Okay. I need a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Dyer made a motion. Commissioner Stamps seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Meeting adjourned.
You want to-